The supervolcano under the American Yellowstone National Park is gigantic. Its magma chamber is 40 kilometers wide and 60 kilometers long, with 15,000 cubic kilometers of magma bubbling in it. A great danger. One thing is certain: if the volcano erupts, this would have fatal consequences for people all over the world. Some media are now reporting on alarming signals that could indicate that the volcano is about to erupt. Welcome to Clixoom Science Fiction. Here you'll find fascinating science videos thrice a week. Subscribe to the channel, only then you will not miss out on anything. 1, 2, 3. It's a horror story, especially for the US states of Montana, Idaho and Wyoming and the entire North American continent. The eruption of the Yellowstone volcano would cause pyroclastic flows of lava and ash at temperatures of 800 degrees Celsius. Infrastructure and agriculture would no longer stand a chance. The sun would no longer get through to the earth because clouds of sulfur gas would prevent this. The global climate would cool down and harvests in many regions of the world will fail. For 74 days, the world's food supplies would allow us to survive, after which the majority of people would probably starve to death. Experts have long been convinced that the entire life on Earth would be threatened by the supervolcano's eruption. The alarming statement by NASA employee Brian Wilcox makes this clear. According to this statement, research on supervolcanoes is far more important to protect humanity from danger than the development of systems that keep comets and asteroids away from Earth. Thus, research teams around the world are keeping a close eye on the supervolcano in Yellowstone National Park to be able to register even the slightest change. Last year, for example, an exciting study was published that had tracked down unbelievable findings on the supervolcano, because new measurements by a US research team had shown that a cube of molten rock reaches as far as the edge of the Earth's core, and that's an incredible 2,900 kilometers. Until now, experts had assumed a magma source at the depth of 440 kilometers. However, the images which could be obtained with the help of earthquake waves suggest that hot rock swells diagonally upwards from the Earth's core under Mexico, and that in a 350 kilometer wide zone all the way to the northeast of the USA. The upper part of the rock column warms the rock above it. The magma passes through the crevices and cracks the field. Nevertheless, the United States Geological Survey, USGS, for example, does not expect a major eruption in the near future. For this to happen, the underground area in the region would have to change dramatically. 1/3 of the magma chamber must have melted so that the pulp behaves like liquid. However, measurements show that less than a tenth of the rock is currently liquid. According to this, the magma is enclosed in individual bubbles in the rock spores. According to the USGS, the probability of a major eruption of the supervolcano is 1 in 700,000 per year. However, there would also be corresponding signs in advance. The increased leakage of gas, for example, or an increased number of quakes in Yellowstone could be interpreted as alarm signs. In the end, the ground would also be curved by the magma upflow. Some experts do not see the supervolcano itself as the biggest threat anyway, but the earthquakes in this region. Geographer Michael Pollan, in an interview with USA Today, declares, "The biggest concern we have for Yellowstone is not with the volcano, it's with earthquakes. This is an underappreciated hazard in the Yellowstone area. There can and there will be in the future magnitude 7 earthquakes. On average, 1,500 to 2,000 earthquakes are registered per year in the Yellowstone region. However, the majority of them are too small to be noticed by humans. This is done by a large network of about 50 seismometers. This makes the region one of the best seismographically guarded in the world. Some news outlets and newspapers are currently reporting time and again that the thermal and seismic activities around the supervolcano have increased. In autumn 2018, for example, some geysers in Yellowstone Park were more active than ever. At a height of around 10 meters, for example, one of the hottest geysers in the area spewed gases, volcanic rock and boiling water. According to media reports, other geysers are currently being formed, but experts like those at the Yellowstone Volcano Observatory don't think these events are unusual. These events are therefore not directly related to the movement of magma at several kilometers depth. There is no sign of impending volcanic activity. So, what happens next? A massive earthquake or the eruption of the supervolcano? Even if experts monitor both threats well, there is no answer to this question. Statistically, the dormant volcano is definitely overdue. The 3 previous eruptions happened 2.1 million years ago, 1.2 million years ago, and 640,000 years ago. But even if serious alarm signals were to be observed, it would not be clear that measures could save us. For example, the Geological Society of London, in a report on supervolcanoes, found that there were no emergency plans for such a disaster. And so the US Space Agency, NASA, is working on a curious plan to defuse the supervolcano or even prevent an eruption. A geothermal power plant near the volcano could be the solution. The volcano would have to be drilled first. This would allow the power plant to slowly but steadily extract heat from the volcano and cool the magma chamber in the long term. The estimated cost of the project is $3.5 billion. But this would not only reduce the risk of an eruption, this plan could even generate electricity. 10 kilometers would have to be drilled to reach 350 degrees hot water. Electricity could then be produced for about 10 cents a kilowatt hour. If the project were to be successful, the region around the volcano could probably be supplied with electricity for several hundred years. But it is also clear that NASA's idea involves major risk, because such a drilling could actually trigger the catastrophe that should actually be prevented. The magma chamber could become unstable if companies drill into the deeper and hotter layers. The result, a supervolcano eruption. Drilling for geothermal power plants has already led to earthquakes here in Europe. The imminent catastrophe of a particle storm is a greater danger at the moment. Click here for the video and watch it. Stay tuned and see you soon.